All right. One of the greatest centers in NBA history, Patrick Ewing, has sat down with the fellas from the Pivot and discussed a bevy of topics, including his true feelings about that Game 7 in Houston, also how he would fare in this current era of the NBA. Interesting enough, he's one of those greats that would be remembered quite differently had he had that one championship. You look at players like Dirk Nowitzki, Clyde Drexler, KG, and even Dr. J. Had it not been for that one championship that they all got, the way the NBA fans and media pundits would remember them, it's going to be different. Let's just put it at that. But still, Ewing played in an era where it was nothing but great centers that he was going up against night in, night out. And also, he did eventually lose to players that not only end up winning the championships, but they finished top 10 easily. And that is Hakeem Olajuwon and Michael Jordan. So you guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
You know, I try not to compare my era to this era or eras in the past. I know whatever era I played in, I'd be dominant. You know, I was one of the big men who could shoot, but I didn't shoot a lot of threes. Michael and I always joke about, he's like, man, but you can't dribble. I said, all I need is 2 dribbles. 2, that's it, just 2. 2 dribbles I can get from the free throw line to the hole. So it doesn't make a difference what era I'm in. I think I can still dominate. I watch and I admire the things that the guys are doing now. They are more skilled in terms of putting the ball on the floor, shooting threes, especially the bigs, Jokic, Embiid.
Now, the players of today are allowed to put the ball on the floor and just have more of a face-up game, dribbling nonstop. In Ewing's era, coaches look down on those type of things, especially just coming down the court and pulling up from 3. I would say players of his era do have a slight edge, as they would be granted much more free range had they played today.
But, you know, I feel that we had a heart. We had athleticism just like them. But, you know, the game's changed. The game changed in '94 after we played Houston. You know, it was too physical. That series was so physical, the NBA was like, no, we have to change the rules. Right. So that's why it changed. That's why they wanted more free-flowing, more threes, and it is what it is.
Not only they eliminated hand checking, they brought the three-point line closer, and the worst of all is them changing the rules after the finals, in which the Knicks were fouled and should have got 3 free throws, but the rules at the time only allowed for 2. So going forward, players were allowed to shoot 3 free throws. Had that happened for the '94 finals, who knows? Knicks would have probably been in the driver's seat. That was a very crucial play where the Knicks were not allowed because of the rules to shoot 3 free throws.
Definitely more points. The scoring has definitely gone up. You know, it's funny, I was looking at the Iceman. He scored 70-something points without any threes. If he scored 79 without any three, or 70, whatever it was, without any threes, imagine what he would have done if he shot the 3. Yeah. So it doesn't make a difference, you know, 3s or 2s. We just got it the hard way. And 1. Yeah. And 1. And as a player, as a scorer, everybody who plays, you know, you always think the next one going in. You can ask Steph. He's one of the greatest shooters to ever play. And every time he shoots the ball, I don't care if he was 0 for 10, he think the next one going in. So that's how I equate it for John. He was rolling that series. And yes, he wasn't making his shots, but he thought that the next one good. Like every scorer, like everybody who played, they think that the next one is gonna go in. So I can't sit there and fault him. I can't sit there and judge him. I know I want the ball anyway. I'm like, throw me the ball. But I do not fault him in one bit, because I know if the situation was reversed, I'm gonna shoot it. I'm gonna shoot it. You know, that's just how it, you know, how the game is.
And Patrick Ewing in that final series, man, he had the toughest assignment to deliver offensively. I mean, Hakeem, shit, that was prime Hakeem. We're talking about Defensive Player of the Year, regular season MVP, and eventually end up being Finals MVP all in one season. Honestly, he could have been back-to-back MVPs that year, including back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year winner. But Ewing, being the great player that he was, he delivered for the Knicks defensively. It's kind of funny how that played out, because the Knicks and their finals appearance in 2026, their defense is what really held them up to a lot of those comebacks, on top of Jalen Brunson. So Ewing in 94, he definitely was that force in the paint going up against definitely one of the top 10 guys to ever do it.
And to me, if you don't believe in yourself that the next one is going to go, and I won't play with you. Because you can't have doubt, you know, when the time comes. You got to step up and try to get it done. It may not work out in your favor, which it didn't, but you still got to step up there and try to get it done.
Right. Now, Ewing is always going to ride out for his guy Starks, as he should. You know, these guys were all warriors, and sometimes with a warrior, you're going to have to fall on your sword, especially in the finals. But just pivoting away right here for a second, let's listen to John Starks as he gives us some great insight of how that Game 7 really affected him at the current moment, but it also extended into the next season.
That was a tough summer. I felt like I let my teammates down, I let the city down, I let the organization down. It was just a tough moment for me as a player. And I had to do a lot of soul searching that summer. And that's when I actually picked up the game of golf. You know what I mean? Just to kind of get away from everything. And went back and worked, because I was coming off a meniscus tear before that playoff started. And so I had to go back and get myself prepared mentally and physically to come out and have a good season the next season. But I had a lot of people talking to me. But during the course of the summer, I think the major mistake that I made, I didn't go back and watch that film. I'm running from it. You know what I mean? I'm running from it. And going into that season, I started off up and down, up and down, up and down. Then I hit a rough spot. I'm like, man, what's wrong with you? You a better player than what you showing out here. And I sat down with myself and I said, man, watch this tape. And I sit in there, cut the lights off, turn the tape on, and just watch the whole thing from start to finish. And because I had to come to realization with it. You know what I mean? I'm running from it. And I know better than that. I never ran for anything in my life, but I was running from that moment. And I had to come to a realization that, okay, son, you're a lot better player than that, and you have to show that and coming up. And after that, seemed like a load just came off of me. And I started playing 100% better. Dang. You know, so I tell people all the time, you know, you don't run from your troubles, you face them. And you go through them, and you're gonna get through them. And I had to face that. And it's probably the biggest life lesson that I could ever receive back then. And plus, I was thinking about, you know, some great players didn't have some bad game sevens. You know, I think of Magic Johnson. Yep. You know what I mean? That was on my mind. And how he was able to bounce back. I thought I would get back and get a chance to redeem myself. In '99, when Michael retired, I was like, oh, shit. We going back to the finals.
Got us one.
John, you out of here. I'm like, boy, I was like hot. I was hot in seeing them in the finals, but I was happy for a big fella because he got a chance to obviously get that ring. Yeah. But I wanted to be there with him.
When you watched that Game 7, what did you learn from your study of the game over just watching a couple shots, you know, watching Mr. Shot?
The mentality going into that game. Before the game, I mean, literally, I didn't sleep 24 hours I'm up because I'm so amped, you know, getting ready to prepare myself mentally and couldn't get to sleep. I mean, every time I close my eyes, I feel like my eyeballs is open, it's open, wide open. I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? And didn't get no sleep. And so I think I was running the race. I already at the finish line, and I didn't run the race. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, I'm thinking, you know, we're gonna celebrate here, we're gonna do this, blah, blah, blah. You know, and so I already ran the race in my mind, but I didn't run the race. And so it was just a mentality going into that game that I know of, like, when I watched it, I'm like, dude, really, this you? Mm-hmm. This is you? Nah, that's not you. That's not you. Mentally, that's not you. Yeah. You know, and I remember, you know, the following year when we go back to Houston, boy, I was like, dude, I came out, I wanted to punish them. I wanted to punish them.
I got to get that work.
Yeah, because I had to exercise that demon inside of me. I had to get back to that court and exercise that demon. And they showed the dunk where I dunked on Olajuwon at the end of the game. Obviously, we ended up winning. And I remember Pat coming to me and Olajuwon said, okay. Well, I was hot, bro. I was hot. We that close getting the championship.
Damn, that coming from Olajuwon says a lot. I mean, he was at that point in his career where he was in that sweet spot, just individual numbers, back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year awards, MVP, should have been back-to-back regular season MVPs, and just about to become a back-to-back NBA champion. So that coming out of Hakeem's mouth about John Starks, yeah, he probably realized that if in Game 7 Starks played like that, it would have been over. But we ride out for John Starks. He's definitely one of the more favored legends among all Knicks players because he does resemble a lot of characteristics from the city. But going back to Patrick Ewing, he also was asked about sort of today's kind of first take culture and the laziness of just judging certain players off of rings. Again, as I stated earlier in the segment, there are a lot of legendary players that had they at least gotten one ring, they would be remembered a lot different. Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Elgin Baylor, Allen Iverson. I mean, just look at the way KG is talked about. Dirk Nowitzki, especially after overcoming the, I would say, Miami Heatles, Dr. J and Clyde Drexler.
Do you think people have become more lazy in that conversation when it comes time to judging people's careers?
Well, I'm not going to say people have become lazy. I think that, all of us I don't care which sport you play, everybody, when you, at the beginning of the year, does have a goal. My goal is to, win a championship. Mm-hmm. And growing up in Boston, they talk about is Bill Russell and his 11 rings. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, shit, I'm gonna get me 11 rings like Bill. And then you realize, and then in college, I get to the finals 3 years. So I'm like, in the NBA, yeah, I'm gonna get me a ring. Mm-hmm. But then you get there and you realize how difficult it is to get a ring, or to even get there. I was fortunate to get there twice. The second time we got there, I was hurt. I tore my Achilles and I couldn't play. But I don't see the fact that I don't have a ring, or Charles don't have a ring, or all the other great players who played this game and don't have a ring. I don't see that diminishing what they have accomplished. I think that all of us have done something special to be able to get to where we've gotten, but it just wasn't in the card for us to get that elusive championship.
And you mentioned Bill Russell, 11.
Right.
But if you're gonna say, what's the GOAT standard? Is it championship? Is it wins?
Rings.
Is it points?
Right.
What is it?
Right.
Like, have the full conversation and let that be that. So, but yeah, I'm not Pat.
To that point, though, because you was a monster, did the Knicks let you down? Because they could have put more around you to go out and whoop MJ and them motherfuckers. Like, did they let you down to be a Hall of Famer and not have a ring? Somebody had to do something wrong, bro.
When you're in it, see, a lot of these guys now, they got that business sense. Like, look, I got. At one point, I was gonna leave New York to go team up with Chris Mullin and run Tim Hardaway and Mitch.
TMC.
At one point, I was gonna leave and go team up with them, but it.
Hey, Pat, tell the story of when MJ almost came back and teamed up with you.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
And, maybe they could have brought more pieces, but, when you're in it, I wasn't thinking of it. I'm thinking about whoever I got with me, we going to war. I got Mace, I got Oak, I got John, Allen came later, Spree came later.
You also got Pat Riley. Let's not forget that. He kind of bought that bad boy Detroit Pistons blueprint and brought it to the Knicks. That was a major part in going up against Phil Jackson, just having a head coach that understood those kind of mind games.
Allen came later, Spree came later, but Derek Harper, we were thinking that we had an opportunity to get it done. It just didn't happen.
Also, too, though, like, you took the Bulls to 7.
Right.
You took Hakeem to 7. We're talking about teams that were all-time great teams with all-time great players. Like, you guys were there and were good enough. Like you said, sometimes it just doesn't work out. And we're talking about people without rings. Reggie Miller also doesn't have a ring.
And, it's funny because, we talk about it, myself and Jeff Van Gundy talk about it, all the time. having home court advantage in the playoffs. So if we had home court advantage, it could have swung it differently. So we go out to Houston, we lose the first, won the second, come back home. Sam Cassell hit a huge three to help them win the third. We won the fourth. We won the next two when we went back out to Houston, to play them. And big fella went to work, and we just did. It was all this.
He
get that dream shake. That dream shake was going. That dream shake was going.
Hey, let's not front. That dream shake was in his prime. For some of you that are younger, because this is a multi-generational show, in case you don't know, Hakeem was like a Giannis, except he had a mid-range jumper. He can cross you up. He had a face-up game, and he'll shake you up in the paint with a hell of a post game. So he definitely has a number of ways to kill you. And also he played defense just like Giannis. I mean, look at his block numbers going from season to season. I believe Victor Wembanyama just now is actually putting up very similar numbers.
Was y'all pissed off at Spike when Reggie scored 13 points in what Reggie scored 8 seconds?
But the Spike ain't had nothing to do with it. Spike ain't on the floor.
Reggie hit y'all with the...
Spike ain't on the floor. Now look, so even that, okay.
Right.
Reggie had a big series. We had a 30 for 30. Reggie Miller and whatever the hell they call it. They only beat us once. Once.
Facts. I don't know why they make it seem like Reggie Miller was Ewing's ultimate nemesis. The Knicks must have beat them like 7 times in the playoffs.
One series they beat us.
Yeah.
He was balling at the end of that game, and we still had an opportunity to win. I got a free throw rebound and missed it. Not the layup, but I got a free throw rebound and missed it.
Oh, for a second, I thought he was talking about the finger roll. Matter of fact, if you go back and look at that play, had that same exact scenario been today, Ewing would have been allowed to take that extra step. That would have been a dunk for sure.
Spike ain't had nothing. Spike is he's a diehard fan. We want fans like that. I remember when I first got to New York, Spike was all the way up top in Madison Square Garden. Wow. That's where his seats were, all the way up top. And he did do the right thing. The next thing I know, he's on the floor. I said, Spike, you sure done came a long way. You sure came a long way. But no, we want to have. That's one thing about New York. We got some diehard fans, and I'm back now with the Knicks, and I look at last year. I'm at the playoff game. Myself, Larry Johnson, John Starks, we all sitting there at courtside, and I'm looking around the arena and the atmosphere. I'm like, Larry was like, man, remind you of when we were playing, right? I'm saying, yes, the energy, the atmosphere, everything is back, and they've been waiting for it, and we got it.
How do you feel about this team being an ambassador for the team when you look at, it's basically like Villanova plus Cat.
I don't like the Villanova part, but no, I don't like the Villanova. I tell Jalen, I said, look, man. If I tell all them, I said, man, I don't, the Villanova part, but no, I love them. I love Jalen. I've been knowing him from when he was a little kid, and coming in the locker room. I tell his dad, I don't know what you did, but you did an outstanding job of getting this kid to be great, because he is great. And then Cat and the rest of the team, as a former player, as a consultant, ambassador, whatever the role you want to call it, I enjoy going back, and I enjoy sitting there and watching them compete. I tell Jalen's dad, I said, look, I wish I could have played with him, because I watched the things that he could do, and I think both of us would have made each other great.
Ooh, facts. That would have been killer. Brunson and Ewing? Oh my God. And at the same time, Ewing could have exercised the right to just pull up from 3, which in his era was considered a bad shot. Just imagine that.
I love that.
How you feel about the big men now? You bring up Cat, Wemby, Jokic, you got the 7-footers out there playing around on the perimeter and all. Well, I grew up watching you, watching Hakeem, watching Shaq, watching the big boys go down there and work that paint. I don't even think they know how to throw their back into nobody no more.
But the funny thing is that we wanted to do that.
Hey, at least Ewing is being honest about that. A lot of the players of the past feel that way. They were not allowed to have the freedom to just dribble the ball 1,000 times and then pull up. Especially with the rule changes, the way guys are allowed to take 3 steps now and even kind of stutter on that last step before they jump. There's just a lot more they can do today. Even the players from the 70s and 80s looked at Ewing playing in the 90s, and those guys were allowed to do more offensively. The NBA has always been like this, going from decade to decade. So Hall of Famers like Jerry West and Hakeem, they look at Ewing playing in the 90s and they was like, hey, we weren't allowed to do some of the things that they're doing today. That's why sometimes the first take debate culture about who's the GOAT and comparing eras, it doesn't even make any sense because the rules are going to be so different.
We wanted to do that, and they wouldn't let us. I remember when I first got to the league, and I was shooting a lot of turnaround jump shots, and they were so mad. You need to get in there and dunk it. I'm like, you see who I'm playing with? If I can't shoot, I ain't gonna be able to score.
Yeah.
But I think that everybody, it will change or come back. But those guys, they're skilled. Everybody wants, every big wants. It's just like every rapper or every musician want to be an athlete. Every athlete want to be a musician.
That's real.
All us bigs, we all want to be able to dance like the guards. So I think that, a lot of them, like Wemby, he is special. He is special. Jokic, he's special. They all can do all the things that we're talking about.
And they're allowed to do the things that they're talking about today. And when I say allowed, I'm talking about going up from the amateur circuit to college and, of course, eventually to the pros.
And they can do it at a high level. So all you can do is just sit back and watch and admire.
If they let you Wemby, could you a Wemby?
I would have tried. Jeff and Gunny would have been, him and Pat were looking at me like, nah, big fella. You got 5 turnovers now. You got 5 turnovers. Get the rock up. Hey, like Big John told me, get your ass in the block.
Hey, you know what's one coach Patrick Ewing had that would have probably allowed him to take all those jump shots? Mr. Don Nelson. The way the league is playing today, he was one of those Mike D'Antoni kind of coaches. But there's something about his personality or just his coaching style that doesn't mesh well with players. The Knicks is not the only franchise that he had a rough time with. But last but not least, Patrick Ewing reflected on his only regret of his career, which is leaving the Knicks and just putting on that nasty ass Sonics jersey. Oh my God, that is heartbreaking to even look at sometimes.
My only regret is leaving when I did. I played 15 years in New York, and you hear the team is better off without him, or little rumbles from maybe some of your teammates. He's getting too much touch, too much time. So I just got tired. I got worn down with it. I'm like, man, it's 15 years. I'm still hearing the same bullshit. I just got tired, and I'm like, you know what, man, it's time to go. Seattle came. They gave them a great offer. But that's the only regret that I have. I see Carl stayed and finished his career there at Utah Stock. I see guys who finished their career with the same team, and that's the only regret. And of course, not winning it. Not being able to bring a title to New York.
I'm not gonna lie, it was beautiful to see Patrick Ewing in that championship parade. He deserved it, man. Oh my God. The energy, the effort, playing through all that pain. Them goddamn knee pads. He's truly one of the greatest Knick ever to put on that jersey.